Hello, Sandrine. Welcome.
Hello.
So
Thank
nice to
you.
have you here. And where are you today? Where are you coming from today?
So we are in Brussels. Yes, with the theaters that just reopened on this Wednesday. So it's
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Brilliant. And it's really brilliant to speak to you because we really remember fondly your visit to Liverpool in 2017 with the company Chaliwaté, I'm trying to pronounce it right, to do this amazing performance Jetlag, which is just incredible. And I was remembering this morning how I think I found you online on the internet and got in touch that way.
I don't remember how we got in touch
Yeah,
this time.
which is really nice actually, because then, you know, obviously we loved having you at the festival, and then we've met where I've seen your work at other festivals, one in France, I think, and then in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
The last time Edinburgh was on. So and yeah, I really love your work. So it's a pleasure to have
Thank you
you.
very much. It's a pleasure to be here also.
So we're talking to artists about their creative process, and your work is purely physical, really, isn't it? I think, and I think why I really like it and relate to it is it's got that real mix between I don't know, like physicality and humor and dance, and it's a really, for me it's a real mix, and it really like represents the sort of that genre, if you could represent it. um, and could you tell us a little bit about what your process is to make a show, like from the first beginnings of an idea to it becoming what it is?
Yeah. So I'd say that so as you said, we work like on a visual theater. It's physical because we work a lot with body images, and but we also love mixing uh, theater objects. For the new show we made, puppetry. We really love the combination to make like a kind of unusual theatrical forms. Um, After, the most important thing for us is always the story that is told,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't seek for physical, like how do you say, performance. It's more the physicality has to be always at the service of the story that is told, and that is one of the most important points for us. After, I think there's this French director, Patrice Heyraud, that said that he doesn't really think inspiration is a thing, but it's more a question of work. And it's true that for our each creation, each show, we usually use 3 years of work. And so I think that one of the precious things in uh, in our work is to have time, and because with time we can also develop uh, also all the things that surround us. For example, for the last show, we had puppets that asked a lot of time to be created, to find all the objects that we want, to put the team together, and also to have the time between the moment we write it on the table, like the scenario, the ideas, and then the time of testing it on stage and rehearsing and starting over and over again to find the precise movement and precise timing, because also as it's visual, it has rhythm is very important. So yeah, time is very precious, and it's not often like easy to have it. So I think it's a very important thing in the creative process. After, I'd say that we start by choosing a society question that touches us, that calls us, that we want to talk about. And then we put some boundaries, or some, I don't know how to say contraintes in French. It's like obstacles or constraints. I don't know if you say that in
Constraints,
English, but
yeah.
yeah, that's like stimulated. That stimulates also our imagination. And so, for example, we have for Josefina, our first show, we said, oh, we wanted to work with text, with words, and to see how, I hope the internet is okay, to see how words and to see how words and physical images could intertwine and could create another level of lecture. Mm-hmm. So it was really interesting because it was to find how we can play with words and with what is shown on scene with the bodies. For Jetlag, it was because we are two in the company, Siker and I, and for Jetlag, we decided to work with a third person. So it's like finding challenges to make it a new experience each time with a new language, physical language that can be developed. And for Dimanche, our last show, we really worked in a collective way with another company that's called Focus Company. And Julie Tenray, that directs this company, works more puppetry and object theater. And for a long time, we knew each other and we always wanted to work together because we have, I think, the same aim to what we like in theater, like you said, like more unusual forms. And so we really put the tools we both had in common. And so we really made a mix of it all. So yes, I don't have to lose myself. So that, yeah, I think one of the things is to create some boundaries or some new challenges each time. And then exploiting new tools, like I said, about object theater, that gives us the chance to work on different levels, doing close-ups, and it's also very like we love to compare the way we work to maybe a cinematographic way of working, of presenting things with zooms, and we always think of it a little like a movie.
Yeah,
we love, for example, Wes Anderson and Jim Jarmusch, and those are big inspirations. And for Dimanche and for Jetlag, it was something that was very important. Like the sound of Jetlag was worked by two people that come more from cinema. Mm-hmm. So it was really like the sound accompanies the show. Like it really brings also the emotion and adds to the plot of the story. Mm-hmm. So yes, after it's also, I think, a mystery for us, because as we were saying, with Siker and Julie, sometimes what is intended at the beginning isn't what is found at the end of the process, of the creative process. And that's what is also magic. It's that something unexpected appears, and yes, as I said, something that was not really planned, and that appears like maybe some days just before the presentation of the show, or even when it is presented to the audience, that we realize, that is what the form it has taken. But it's also a mystery for us, because each show is a different path and a different way of working. Yes. After, if
sorry, I was just jumping in. Yeah, I think that it's really nice what you say, that and I can see that watching, like I've seen 3 shows, that you choose a different way of, like a different challenge. Like that seems like a really nice way of keeping the work fresh as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really nice to look at it like that. And also the beautiful combination of Dimanche with the puppetry is so, I mean, it's stunning. You know, the polar bear, was a polar bear, wasn't it?
Yeah, polar bear. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really beautiful. And I was wondering as well, because there's 2 of you, and obviously you collaborate, but in terms of having an outside eye or a director, how do you work in that way?
So we with Siker, and it was the same when we worked with Julie with Focus Company. We always, so we start as you were asking, how do we begin to arrive at the result after? We always start with 1 year where we see each other like 1 week per month. Maybe more, maybe less, depending on the touring of the previous shows. And we work more on the table, writing a scenario, looking at movies, or coming with inspirations that we had, like reading things or looking at images, or and then we collect all this. And then I'd say the 2 years after, we work a lot on stage, trying, improvising, and we film ourselves all the time, because as you said, we don't have a director, so we have a camera, and we work a lot with a camera and a mirror. Okay. We put a big mirror, and then after, it's the difficult thing is to take out the mirror, because then you have to be good in the memory of the body. But it helps us a lot to see if what we imagine is it's the image that is projected.
Yeah.
So for all of our shows, we have worked like that, with a mirror or with a camera, and we film, we look, and then we say, it's good, but there's a problem of rhythm, or this gesture should not be there, but maybe could be after. So it's a lot of coming back and forth. And then in a second time, there's regard extérieur. We talk in French, so like an external eye. I don't know how you say. Okay. Yeah. That is always the same person. At the beginning, we were working in Montreal for Josefina, so we had a person that comes more from dancing. Okay. A dramaturge in dance that was called Katia Montaignac, that came, and she was like coming at the end of the process, and she questions us. Okay, this is not logical with the story you're telling, and bringing us a lot of feedback. And then for the other shows, it was Alana Osborne that comes more from cinema. She's she comes from l'Ansace, that is a school in Belgium, a cinema school. And yes, she brings us a lot of feedback, and then she tries to keep a fresh eye, so she doesn't come a lot. Okay. Because if she comes a lot, then she's too implicated, and she's used to see the images, and she doesn't have that fresh look. So yes, that's a very important thing also, is to have some feedback also. And one of the magical moments is also when we are with all the team, and the one that does the sound, the lights, and they also have their point of view, and we take it a lot, of course, in account. So yeah, it's us that we really write and work, only the two of us. Mm-hmm. But there's always someone that comes at a point to give us feedbacks and help us to be sure that what we wanted to tell at the beginning is still there.
Yeah. That sounds like you've got a really good process in that way, that, you know, it's really your own work, but you have people you can trust that can give that. That's and you were talking about with the audience as well. So when you start playing the show, do you do like test trials? Like, do you get feedback from the audience? Is that
well? For Dimanche, it was something we really for Jetlag, for example, it was a little chaotic, because we had not a lot of support at that time, like financial support, and so we didn't have the time to really test the show before presenting it for the first time. And actually, the show, we reworked on the show a lot after the first presentations. Right. And for Dimanche, we decided to do something different. Is that in Belgium, in Brussels, there's a festival that's called XS, like short forms. Yeah. extra small.
Mhm.
This and so we decided to present 20 minutes. That is what you saw, I think, in the Fringe
Yeah.
backup. That's called backup. And it was really great because it was a way to start for the first time to present this like unusual mix of puppetry, object theater, physical theater, and to see, okay, how the audience was responding. And then even though we had already the whole show written, it was a good first test. And I think for the future, we would love to have that time to be able to present already like small shots before showing the entire piece, because it gives us the possibility to work on what the audience gives us as a response. So
Yeah, that's nice. And you said I was interested in how it works financially, because obviously I make work myself, and the thing we always want is time and space, which is difficult to get within, you know, funding applications. Especially, I think the UK has maybe a different attitude in terms of like work is made quickly. So a lot of people I speak to in Europe, they have months and months, you know, and you take a long time. And in between, I know your shows are touring, but how do you have regular support now for your company?
yes, it's been not a long time because we started working in 2009 with Pierre. We created the company in 2005, but I think we really started touring in 2009, and we just had a support like 2 years ago, like a support for the whole year.
Nice.
So before, we worked a lot with what we actually gained from our touring.
Yeah.
And yes, the time and space is also a problem for us because we don't have a space that is for us. So we always have to find different places of residencies, of residence to work. So yeah, that's always a challenge. But it gets easier, of course, with the fact that now maybe with Dimanche we had much more partners. So after, it makes the work easier because then you have the partners you're used to work with. And
Yeah, and it's a much bigger show, isn't it, actually?
yes, also.
Yeah. I was looking at it, and well, hopefully we can bring you back one day, but yeah, I guess and how is that moving? It's quite a jump in scale, isn't it?
Yes, and it was something that we didn't expect because yes, we wanted to work with puppetry, with object theater, but the puppets we have, for example, in Dimanche are very expensive because it's very hard work because they're very realistic.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked with a sculptor, Joachim Janin, that really tried to make them the more realistic possible, but it's a big cost. So hopefully with the backup in the Fringe of Edinburgh, we had a lot of new partners that joined and that gave us the possibility to have a little more financial support to finish the show. But we still for the moment we are still working on financing the end of the project. Like, it's not really finished.
Okay. And in terms of like this crazy year we've all had, or longer now, however long it is, do you think that your work might change because of that, or will you kind of pick up where you left off, you know, or your outlook? Or
well, for us, everything was postponed, so we have a lot of chance that the things that weren't possible this year are going to be possible next year. But we had so much to cope with the postponements, and as I said, to finish the production of Dimanche, of the show, that we actually didn't start a new project.
mm-hmm.
Also because we found it was such a weird period.
Yeah.
We couldn't really join and meet together, and so it made things very complicated. And also, I think it's nice to have a little bit of recul, of like stepping back on what we have been living, to be able maybe to talk about it, or not, if we're not going to talk about it like directly, but to talk about what it has changed. And one thing that actually we worked on this year was to find a more ecological way of touring.
Right.
Because Dimanche is about climate change, and we found it very weird to talk about climate change and our denial of facing that, and then touring to Australia and without really taking that in account. So we worked on a chart, on a like a document with our touring our distributors to find a way of, of course we still want to meet audiences abroad, but to see how we could make it more intelligent in the way of traveling. So we worked on that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. It has been good. I think a lot of people have said, I feel it myself, to take a little step back as well. And because things like that, then you have the time to consider them properly, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's coming next for you then?
So we are planning to do a new show again with Heyraud-Compagnie. So because the collective work together was really so fantastic, so great. So we really enjoyed it. So we want to continue together. So, but we haven't started working on a new project. We are planning to start in 1 year because there's a lot of touring with Dimanche, and it was a big project for us. So we're still, like I said, digesting this long process, and we like taking time also between the projects to also start to come with fresh and new ideas. And one other thing that I didn't say that is also important for us is that we try to also to do workshops, or to between our shows, to bring new material, have new physical ideas, or
between the company, between yourselves.
Yeah, like Siker did a workshop of catch, but it's always nourishing. Or we went, for example, once we went to do a workshop for 3 months in Argentina, so to meet other practitioners, and to diversify a little our tools.
That's great. And I think it's so important, isn't it? It's a really important part of the festival as well, that training, the workshops. And it's been the same for me. You always need to feed yourselves. And I always tell young artists that keep, there's this kind of feeling sometimes you've trained, I've trained, and, so, but
never finish really.
Never finish. Yeah. And where did you two meet when you were training?
Yes, so we did the school of Marcel Marceau, the mime in Paris. That doesn't not exist anymore. The school is closed. And then we met there, and then we had the same language that we wanted to develop. So we started working together. And then as I said, we trained a lot with different workshops from other schools like Lecoq,
Nice. So I'm going to finish with some questions that I've been asking everyone. That is just interesting because then we hear the answers. So some quick questions. So firstly, who is your biggest inspiration?
So I asked also Siker, so that we're
yeah. But
it's an old inspiration, but I think it's always it's the basis for us. It's Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton are really a big inspiration. Now there are other companies like Peeping Tom, actual companies that are very inspiring. But I would say from at the beginning of everything, there's a inspiration for the work of Chaplin and Keaton.
Fantastic. And where and when do you feel most creative?
You mean like a moment?
Like I suppose. So I mean, you can answer this as you, but like where, when you're like, for example, for me, sometimes it's when I'm running, or
okay. I would say that there's a moment in the creation that I really love is that when it's what I was saying, when the whole artistic team joins together and that we are brainstorming together and that we're still in the moment where you're not thinking of all the production and everything, so you can dream a little more.
Yeah.
And it's a really nice moment to where we can tell all the ideas without thinking if it's possible or not possible. and having the artistic team together to say to bounce on the ideas, it's a really very special moment.
Yeah, and it's so nice that what you're saying, like before you go, oh, is it possible, and you get practical, it's like that's really nice. Who or what keeps you going, keeps you motivated, keeps you wanting to keep making work?
Well, especially after this year of being very isolated, I think the experience of the collective experience of being in a theater, uh, it's always a magical moment, and yes, and even though it's a work that is very precarious and fragile, yes, it's a chance to be able to do it. So, and even more when we have been restricted for 1 year of not being able to see new things and going to the theater, to the cinema. So yeah, the creation and the culture is as a food is important.
Absolutely, yeah. And so this is my last question. Do you have any particular, like, real favorite moments of performing, you know, where a particular one you remember that was really special?
There's lots of different,
Yeah.
but I would say that it's often after, like, I would say 5 to 10 shows of a new show, when you find this moment where you can improvise and you can have fun more because everything, the rhythm is there, and there's this, everything gets well together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's then there's a connection with the audience because you feel that you can really enjoy the performance and enjoy acting.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's great. Um, it's so nice to hear about your process, and it's really interesting, especially seeing the work as well. And yeah, I really hope that we can bring you back to
Actually,
the
would love to come back.
festival and do some workshops as well with you guys. That'd be really good. So yeah, best of luck with everything
Thank
coming
you
up.
very much. Yes, and you too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Elinor.